My living room, you guys. I thought all of my panels for the trailer had come in, and over the past couple days, the boxes just keep coming. I'm gonna tell you something. This one is heavy. This one is heavy. This one is heavy, but there's 2, 3, 4 in there. This one's light. And then that one's kind of light. That one's kind of light. So I already know. These are the ones that have the wood, like vinyl thing on top. Oh, I'm getting a call.
Stay tuned right after this.
Anyways, as I was saying, so these are going to be pretty heavy. I'm going to order some brackets online that are meant for mounting like heavy canvas on the wall. And I think I'm just going to go ahead and instead of doing the bed this weekend, I'm going to figure out how to get the whole studio set up. So that's going to be so exciting. These brackets were okay. I like the design. I like the way that they're meant to be used. They didn't come with screws, which really annoyed me because it wasn't until we got most of these mounted on the panels that we realized you need screws that fit absolutely flush because there's such a tight fit together that the screws will get hooked on each other and you won't be able to hook the brackets together. So we were originally using wood screws, not thinking about it, thinking that we wanted something that was really strong. And as you can see, the wood screws stick way out and we weren't able to mount anything. So we had to replace every single wood screw that we already put on, which added a lot of time. Overall, these brackets were okay. You know, if you can find better, I encourage you to. I got my panels at a place called GIK Acoustics, and they are awesome. They offer to design your entire studio space free of charge. And then obviously you pay for the panels. So they were recommended to me by my favorite audio engineer, Lenny B over here on YouTube. Hi, Lenny. And I reached out to GIK Acoustics through their Get a Free Design form. So there's like a button that says Get a Free Design, you scroll down and you go to the form and fill out all the information that they ask for. If you're interested in seeing what GIK Acoustics has to offer, I've left a link in the description below. Within a day of me sending this out, I got an email from Mike over at GIK Acoustics. He's the sound design, studio design engineer. And he designed this awesome model for me based off of the original space that I was planning to put the studio in. And he let me know right off the bat that, hey, I put this together for you, but it's probably not going to work. And he gave me all of his concerns in the email and let me know that it wasn't going to be good for professional use. So I started again, sent him some pictures, sent him some drawings to give him an idea of where I was thinking about putting the studio now. And he said that that was much better and designed this model for me, which I like so much more. And I'm excited to work in this space, especially now that we're so far along in our build. So he gave me different options for my big panels and explained that they would, reflect the sound in a certain way. He drew up an entire quote with all the pricing to let me know each piece and the cost of it. And bada bing, bada boom, here we are in the trailer getting ready to mount the panels. Like I said before, this was not an easy process. If you can find better brackets, I highly encourage it. And if you're not going to be in a mobile studio, by all means, use the canvas wire that comes with the panels because that'll be so much easier on you. Using these brackets wasn't easy, especially because we wanted a bracket on every corner. When we're driving in this trailer, the whole trailer is going to be bumping around, putting a lot of strain on each of these brackets. And there's not a lot of studs throughout the trailer itself, and these walls are very thin. So we wanted to make sure that nothing's going to fall off the wall, because the last thing that we want is for one of these very expensive panels to hit the ground while we're driving. So it took us a very long time to figure out how to mount these, especially with the off angles of these walls. And here comes the big kahuna, my favorite panel of the bunch, and it's also very heavy. It's a heavy, heavy panel. So I wanted to make sure that this absolutely doesn't fall off the wall. So we put 6 brackets, which was exponentially harder, especially with that curve or that tilt at the top of where we're putting it. Overall, we got it on. All right, here is an update. So in true fashion, nothing is easy even when it seems like it should be very easy. We have these brackets that are supposed to fit like so. and it fits beautifully like this, but these screws need to be perfectly flush, otherwise they get hooked. And then you can see, can you see? There's an angle to this wall. So you can see how we've been scuffing it up, trying to get it on, and it's like they don't want to hook. You have to be so precise, even down to like the 1/8 inch of where these hooks are spaced, and then you're still gonna have trouble with it. So we've spent hours just getting these two on and this one on, and this one's pretty heavy. So we're gonna try and get this one, and then hopefully the walls are easy. And then I need to figure out a special way that we're gonna do this, because we're gonna have a single panel kind of hanging across like that and jumping over this corner, so those brackets aren't gonna work for this. So we might do like a bungee type of hook. But either way, we'll see. Hopefully we can pick up the pace and get this one done today. So my parents went home for the weekend, and my husband hopped in and started helping me put together a new strategy for getting these panels hung. And with each panel we did, the easier it got. Once we learned how to work with these brackets better, we would put one at a time and test it. All right, listen up. I think this will be helpful. I'm gonna give you a tour of what these panels are, so you can get an idea if you're going to build your own studio of what the elements consist of. So, like I've said in previous videos, this is the back of my studio wall. So I will be standing like this when I'm recording, and I'm going to have a soundproof or sound absorbing panel. It's a theater curtain that I'm going to order that's going to pull across the front of me. So the elements of my studio are going to be this panel, which the studio design engineer said was the best layout, because if I had a wall, it would create a boxy sound. This way, the sound can disperse down to the end of the trailer, and it's not going to bounce back because I have this sound absorbing panel. So the sound can dissipate as opposed to bouncing all around the studio. Behind me, I have two different types of panels. These cream colored ones are all the same kind of panel, and then this one is called an Alpha 6 panel. At least this is what the brand calls it. So this design is a very intentional design that has been created by audio engineers, and it disperses the sound waves in very specific ways. So it's not just for the look of it. They had all different types of designs. Some of them looked cool, like little mermaid fins and things like that. And the studio engineer gave me 3 options, all of which had similar patterns to this, because he knew how the sound waves were going to act, and this is a specific way that he wants to disperse that sound. So whenever I step up here and I speak into this, it sounds muted, as opposed to if I went and spoke into that wall. Now these are very easy for you to make on your own in a certain sense. So this material feels just like rock wool, so I would be surprised if this isn't rock wool. And it's about 4 inches deep of rock wool. And this space, I can ask Lenny in a future video if he wants to do a video with me, but I believe this airspace is also a very important quality, because airspace is an important quality whenever you're building studios. So I think this airspace in the back was intentional, and then they also take advantage of it because they usually do canvas wire to hang these. Obviously, like I said before, that's not going to work, so I'm doing these. So that being said, these are very easy to make. You can see that it's just a frame, and you have the thickness of this, and then they put the rock wool, and then they staple the fabric around. And what you're really paying for when you buy these is for a professional audio engineer to design it for your space, because they can predict exactly how the sound is going to behave. Another thing that I want to point out, that I'm pretty sure I'm right about this because I've spoken to Lenny about it before, but you can see this tilt in the wall, and I think that that is actually helpful for me, because what you want in a studio design is asymmetry, because you don't want the sound, if you're in a box, that sound is going to bounce around perfectly in that symmetrical box. What you want to do is disperse sound wherever it hits so it doesn't come back around to the microphone. So I believe that this tilt is actually going to the sound will hit the panel, and instead of any residual sound bouncing back to the mic, it'll direct it downward. But I can ask Lenny to see if I'm right about that. I'm pretty sure I am. All right. Okay, so we got one whole wall done and it went so quickly. And now this is a little bit tricky because we have an emergency exit window right here. And we went ahead and put some insulation style material, that silver stuff, to help keep any heat out because we're covering up the window semi-permanently. But we can't modify anything because it's an emergency exit and we need to get this trailer inspected every year. So instead we put, you can barely see it, little like spacer boards at the top and bottom of that Alpha 6 panel to hold it away from the window, and it worked just fine. Then we got the ceiling panels on using the bungee technique. I wish I had filmed it, but I was so into it that I forgot to pick up the camera. And by the third panel, I realized that I hadn't measured it perfectly, and it was a little bit off center, but at this point, I didn't even care. You can barely notice it at the top, but I think it looks awesome. What do you guys think? If you have any questions or comments, let me know, and I'll see you next week.